Hello, we're going to try again. So we tried doing this a minute ago and it literally won't load any of the pages and shut down the whole recording halfway through. So we'll try again. I'm going to plow through the material because this is the third time I've had to cover this and the technology just isn't there today. So anyways, there was a draft decision by the Supreme Court about how they want to overturn Roe v. Wade. That's got a lot of people upset because Roe v. Wade was seen as part of America going back to the 1970s. Now the majority conservative Supreme Court is removing the rights and laws that Californians and Americans have held cherished for so long. Exactly what we predicted here at Cal Exit. We'll get to that in a second. But I do want to show you that the topic of Roe v. Wade being possibly overturned by the Supreme Court is being discussed by many people on both the left and the right as something that could bring about secession, and that's why we will be discussing it today on National Divorce Talk Raw with your host, Mark Ruby Evans. So let's get right into it. Hopefully we're not cut off. Hopefully we can get through the material. Okay. So first thing to show you is national divorce. If you type in national divorce on Twitter, there's a lot of people supporting it. Break it up. National divorce, national divorce, national divorce. North Carolina, Mises Caucus, Joe Ross, Dennis Pratt. I want this. Time to balkanize. National divorce. Michael Malice. And he had almost 6,000 people like that post. And we looked at some of the comments here, and a lot of these people were backing him up. I'll show that in a second. But here's more of the comments about national divorce. Wow, that's a great graphic. I'm blocked on Twitter, so I can't like any of these posts. So I just want to show you there's a lot of people talking about national divorce, saying, hey, if people are upset about the Roe v. Wade decision, and some people like it, some people want it overturned, some people don't want it overturned, why don't we just split up in a peaceful separation and have a national divorce? A lot of people saying that. You can just see all the comments here. A lot of libertarians. But as you can see, just a lot of people talking about national divorce and that they are cool with it. Now, they aren't the only people. It's not just regular folks who are being hyperbolic and talking about national divorce. Let's take a look at this. Robert Reich is a well-known, well-respected person who's worked in the federal government across multiple administrations and advised presidents, and he speaks about politics at multiple universities. He's very well respected. And he said, well, Roe v. Wade, it's not going to be like a full secession, but it might be some sort of divorce. So even Robert Reich is talking about some people saying we're going to go into the Civil War again. Maybe that's too much. We're not going to try a full secession, but we might have some sort of thing like a formal divorce that's not as ugly as a full divorce. That's what Robert Reich is saying, and he's saying that because of the Roe v. Wade decision, it's going to go that way. David Horowitz is another person. He's a conservative, and this is Blaze Media. And Horowitz points out that I had all this stuff already queued up, and then the computer just erased it all. So give me a second. Okay. Overall, when factoring in the likely decision as well as the politics behind the reprehensible leak of the draft, it has become clear that we cannot live together as one people. That's Blaze Media talking about how national divorce will become because of the Roe v. Wade. Here's that article. Here's the commentary. And then here's the Week magazine, another high-level political magazine. And they are talking about how Roe v. Wade could equal secession. Here's the quote in the book. Divided We Fall, David French imagined a worst-case scenario will rage at the Roe versus Wade reversal creates irresistible momentum for court packing, and state resistance to the packed court fractures the nation. So David French in the book, Divided We Fall, was talking about secession, and he said a Supreme Court overturning Roe, like what's happening now, could cause the breakup of America. And the Week magazine is pointing that out. So here's the Week pointing out secession could happen. Here's David Horowitz pointing out secession could happen. Here's Robert Wright pointing out secession could happen. And here's people literally across multiple states in America saying they support national divorce. But let's take a look at the other rights that you may lose besides right to the access to abortion. So some people are saying, as we have said here, that the Supreme Court's very conservative, more conservative than it has been in 50 years, and that they're going to undo all of the rights that Californians and Americans hold dear. Californians believe in Roe v. Wade. That is going to be undone. So Californians' rights and values that they hold dear are being undone by this Supreme Court. That's something that we directly predicted here multiple years ago. Let me show you now. So February 5th, 2018, this spring Cal exit will go blue. I was talking about how the Supreme Court's going to come in and they're going to make a lot of laws and cases that will remove rights for women, remove rights for Latinos, remove rights for undocumented immigrants, remove rights for protesters, remove rights for Muslim immigrants, remove gun protection violence from Californians, and remove the ability to have unions. That was my examination of how California could lose a lot of rights. The court is now composed of 4 liberals and 5 conservatives. Jeffrey Tobin, legal analyst at CNN, was on the mark when he observed, when it comes to the core of the court's work, it is ideology, not craft or skill, that controls the outcome of cases. Similarly, Richard A. Posner, the great conservative judge and law professor, has written, it is rarely possible to say with a straight face of a Supreme Court decision that it was decided correctly or incorrectly. Constitutional cases, he added, can be decided only on the basis of a political judgment, and a political judgment cannot be called right or wrong by reference to legal norms. So they're talking about how here are 2 legal experts saying that when it comes to big issues, the Supreme Court, of course, makes its decisions based upon ideology and not the law, because it would be impossible to make a philosophical decision or change of that magnitude based purely on the law. And so he's backing up that there's going to be a lot of rights lost. And here we go. Women have the right to an abortion denied. The border wall is built. Undocumented Californians are searched for and given harsh felony sentences. Protesters are arrested after protests. Protests are no longer able to be near the issue or area where they're protesting. Muslim travelers and immigrants stop coming to California because they don't believe they'll be treated fairly. Joe Biden has also held up the Muslim travel ban. So, as we predicted, that's happening. And the Supreme Court also backed that up. California is afraid to go out in public because they are legally allowed to walk in public with firearms. That may happen. Union members can no longer depend on a union to protect their employee rights. And so as we can see, I predicted that a conservative Supreme Court would have women and remove their right to have their abortion. And that's literally happening now. And I said in 2018, the Supreme Court's going to be so conservative and they're going to start taking away a bunch of your rights. And that's going to cause Californians to freak out and look at secession. And what do we have now? Abortion is going to be overturned. It's going to take away some of your rights. Californians are freaking out and people are talking about secession. Literally what we predicted 4 years ago in February 5th, 2018. And why should you believe me? And here's some of the things that they already failed on. So these are things that California was not able to stop the federal government from doing when Trump was president. And now that Trump's gone, okay, but there's still a super conservative Supreme Court who can undo a lot of these things. So I said 4 years ago, the super conservative Supreme Court is going to back up a lot of things that Californians find abhorrent and are against our values. And that would push us to want to secede. Well, that's literally happening now. But let's go to one second here. Now, this is interesting. So I predicted 2018 that the Supreme Court, because it's conservative, was going to undo a lot of rights that Californians hold dear. Well, here is an article by May 4th, 2022, 4 years later, where Erwin Chemerinsky, who's the top constitutional scholar in all of America, the top constitutional scholar in all of California, Erwin Chemerinsky, top person who understands the Constitution in all of California, literally says what I said. But abortion is just one of many areas where constitutional law appears ready to change dramatically. In the next few months, the Supreme Court is likely to decide cases expanding gun rights, lessening restrictions on prayer in public schools, prohibiting affirmative action by colleges and universities, establishing the right of people to use religion as a basis for discriminating against gays and lesbians in business dealings and employment. Erwin Chemerinsky, top constitutional scholar in California this month, saying it's not just going to stop at abortion. You're going to lose all these other rights concerning gun rights, public prayer in school, prohibiting the ability to have affirmative action and policies that benefit minorities, keeping religion out of our business dealings. And what did I say? Abortion, right? Muslim travelers, those are immigrants and minorities impacted poorly, immigrants impacted poorly, and firearms. So I predicted some of the things that Erwin Chemerinsky is predicting here. He did it 4 years after me. So he said this now, and I said similar to that in 2018. And here's why. I'm sure you've seen this in many episodes that we've done. By 2040, democracy in America will be dead. Basically, conservatives have power beyond what they should. So because of the Constitution, states have rights. So 35 states can have a fraction of the population, but they will control the Senate. They will control the Electoral College, which means they control the presidency. And because the Senate has to approve the judges and the president has to appoint the judges, then they can control the Supreme Court, which means conservatives, even though a fraction of the population, not Democratic, will be able to control all three branches of the federal government and allow things that happen that are not supported by the public. And so what are we seeing now? The case against the Supreme Court of the United States. So people are actively turning against the Supreme Court because they're making decisions that are not supported by the majority of the public. That's literally what I said was going to happen in 2018, 4 years ago. That while liberals have a majority of the population, they will not have control of the Senate, they will not have control of the presidency, and therefore they will not have control of the Supreme Court, and therefore all their rights can be taken away. I predicted that in 2018. I predicted these rights would be gone. And now here we have where people are freaking out 4 years later because the Supreme Court is doing things that the majority of the population does not want. Why are they doing that? Because this is how America is designed. The Constitution gives rights to states and not people. 35, 45 states can have a fraction of the population and control the Senate, presidency, and the Supreme Court. And that is not democratic, and they will destroy all the values that Californians hold dear, as I predicted. And now someone is saying the same thing 4 years later. I also want to point out this thing. So this came out last year, I believe. 2021, 3 years after I made that decision, that analysis, Joe Matthews, a California policy analyst, said this. And he is talking about how Californians should defy their rulings. As for the current justices, here's a warning. Respect for the law is foundational, but respect for judges is conditional. If you persist in your open bias against our state, don't be surprised if citizens defy your rulings. Defying rulings by the legal system is called nullification. It was what was proposed right before the South pursued secession. So I'm just going to ignore your federal laws or your federal court decisions is called nullification, and it was pursued right before secession in 1861. So now you have a California policy analyst last year saying, let's ignore the court because they're passing rules that the majority doesn't agree with. Here's another person saying this court passes laws that a majority doesn't agree with. And here's my article 4 years ago where I was pointing out how the court is going to be controlled by conservatives who don't have the majority of the population and will be making all sorts of rules that the majority of the population doesn't agree with. Also made that prediction in 2018. And now here it is. Ignore your rulings. I hate that court. I hate that court. Roe v. Wade's going to happen. We're going to secede. Roe v. Wade's going to happen. We're going to secede. Roe v. Wade's going to happen. We're going to secede. Roe v. Wade's going to happen. We're going to secede. And I said, when the court starts tearing apart our rights, we will freak out. And now here it is. And one of the things that I said right off of the bat, the very beginning, was if women have their right to abortion denied. That was the first thing I predicted. Now it's here. Now, I also want to point out, here's Erwin Chemerinsky, top constitutional scholar. Yeah, and he's pointing out all those things that are going to be taken away by our rights. Now, here's the interesting thing about Erwin Chemerinsky. He also said this. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. So this is an article about CalExit, the California secession, ecstatic rise and unexpected collapse. It didn't collapse in 2017. It went all the way through to 2019, but whatever. So this is the article by GQ, and in it is a discussion about the constitutionality of secession. And here it is, Erwin Chemerinsky. Erwin Chemerinsky, again, the guy who said, wow, we're going to lose all of our rights by the Supreme Court in this article here in 2022. In 2017, he also said, or about 5 years ago, this is what he said. California can secede. Since we've never been there before, we don't know. In theory, because it was a majority vote of Congress to admit California, in theory, a majority vote of Congress could approve secession, but we don't know. Chemerinsky also talks about Texas versus White and said that states cannot unilaterally secede. However, you, California, aren't ours until we say you aren't. So Chemerinsky's admitting that if you get the votes, you could secede by the states, or you might be able to just have a simple majority of Congress allow you to secede. Chemerinsky's actually talking about the legal paths to secession in 2017, 5 years ago. Now he's talking about how we're going to lose all of our rights because of the Supreme Court, which was what I predicted in 2018 and also in 2018. But I also want to point something out. It's not just abortion rights, like Supreme Court and California law. So here you go. Federal Appeals Court, which is also, the appeals courts is also now dominated by conservatives thanks to Donald Trump. California's ban of sale of semi-automatic weapons to adults under the age of 21 is unconstitutional. So that was our gun rights. That's been struck down by the federal court. Supreme Court rules against California, doubles down on religious rights amid pandemic. So the Supreme Court struck down our ability in California to be able to prevent large conglomerations of people during the pandemic because we didn't want people to get sick and die. So we passed this law in California saying you can't have a large clustering even at a church because we don't want people to die. The Supreme Court struck that down last year. And then we had a gun ruling about we don't want semi-automatic weapons sold to kids, and a court also at the federal level, also governed by conservatives, also struck that down. All right, that's that. That's the same religious one. Supreme Court law ban dark money. Here's another one. The Supreme Court nixes California's law to blow dark money opponents, to blow away dark monies. The High Court ruled a state law requiring not-for-profit organizations that raise money in California to disclose their donors violated the donors' First Amendment rights. So we tried to have something here in California where there's no more dark money. So when you contribute to a campaign, we get to know who you are. It informs us, the voters, like, who is this person and who donates to them? And then the Supreme Court said, no, voters in California don't get to know who is funding their elections. Let's keep the money dark. Let's allow you to not know what's going on and keep that secretive. So we wanted to have a better election system, and the Supreme Court shut that down. We wanted to have a ban on semi-automatic weapons, and the court shut that down. We wanted to have a ban on people coming together in religious services so that they wouldn't spread the disease of COVID-19 and get us killed, and they shut that down. And now they're also shutting down abortion. So please don't think that it's just one thing. The court has shut down abortion. It has shut down our high-capacity magazine ban. It has shut down our semi-automatic ban on sales, and it has shut down our dark money thing, and it has shut down our ability to keep our people safe during the pandemic. So when I'm talking about the values that are very clear to California, like you pass laws so that you won't die from gun violence, shut down. You pass laws so that people won't die from coronavirus, shut down. You pass laws so that you can have an effective democracy that's transparent and not rife with corruption, shut down. You believe women have the right to choose to have an abortion or not, shut down. That's four big things that are important to Californians, shut down hard by this Supreme Court. And we predicted that in 2018. And now you have Erwin Chemerinsky, a constitutional scholar, backing it up. And now you have people talking about how we should just ignore the court, which is nullification, and that's the step before full-blown secession. And now you have, as we predicted in 2018, with the repeal of abortion, people talking about how America may become split. You see that in Blaze Media by Robert Reich, and in The Week, and also in a Twitter search. So a lot of discussion about Roe v. Wade bringing about secession, and a lot of predictions that we made here in the movement about how America is becoming less democratic because of the way the Constitution works, giving rights to states but not people. And you're going to have more things done by the federal government that are out of line with what a majority want, and definitely out of line with what Californians want. And then Californians will be forced to deal with it because there's nothing they can do as long as they're part of the American legal system. And so I hope I've made the case pointing out to you that a lot of the things that we predicted 4 years ago, and we were laughed at when we said that, is coming true now. Now, I don't expect anybody like the people who called us all Russian spies to correct their stories and go back in time and print an update. They didn't do that, even though the Mueller report exonerated us, in addition to the House Select Intelligence Committee and the Senate Select Intelligence Committee and the Fair Political Practices Commission out of California and Sacramento. 4 different investigations. said that we did nothing wrong. Nobody who talked about us cleared that up. I expect the same thing to happen here. So we predicted, us and CalExit, only people to tell you, you're going to lose your rights. America's going down. And it's not going to pass laws, and it's going to start striking down laws that are important to you. And there's nothing you can do about it because of a tyranny of minority of states baked into the Constitution that can't be done unless you literally blow up the Constitution. People didn't want to hear that. Now they're literally saying the same thing. We predicted this 4 years ago, and now it's finally here, and we were the only ones to do so. Joe Matthews and Erwin Chemerinsky, Robert Reich, David Horowitz, The Week newspaper, Vox Media, LA Media, GQ Magazine were not predicting this. Only us. All right, let's take a look at the comments. James Young, email me whenever you want, brother. It's all good. James Young says, I'm tired of arguing and fighting. If we could just split, we can focus issues in our own area respectfully without hate and resentment. I totally agree. America is founded on compromising, but now it's about forcing things on each other. True. Peaceful split will allow us to govern ourselves in areas. So liberals don't just want abortion access for liberal states. They want abortion access for conservative states, and they want to force that on conservative states, and they think you're stupid and wrong for not having that. So absolutely, you're right. America's already split. I fear there was. We should talk again, my buddy. James, email me at marcus.ruiz.evans, and I will get you on the next show. So email me, brother. I'll get you on the next show. I've been meaning to do this show a few days ago, life, etc. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. And we'll come back with even more news as soon as it gets developed. Thank you very much.